Have you ever wondered how those really smart chatbots and voice assistants actually work? Well, a lot of them are powered by a tool called Google Dialogflow. So in the next few minutes, we're going to pull back the curtain and break down exactly what it is, how it ticks, and, most importantly, when you should or maybe shouldn't use it for your own projects.
Okay, so let's just dive right into the deep end. Because to really get why a tool like Dialogflow even exists, you first have to appreciate the problem it's trying to solve. And that problem is, frankly, that building a truly great chatbot from the ground up is ridiculously hard.
And here's why it's such a headache. You have to figure out natural language understanding, NLU, just to have a clue what a person is even asking for. Then you have to somehow remember the context of the conversation. Oh, and you also need to build and scale all the infrastructure to handle it, connect it to a dozen different messaging apps, and get voice recognition to work flawlessly. It's a massive, massive technical job before you even get to the fun part of designing the conversation.
So how does Google propose to solve this giant puzzle? Well, their approach is actually best explained with a really simple, but honestly, a pretty perfect analogy. Think about it like this. Building a chatbot from scratch is like deciding you want to build a completely custom restaurant. You get to control everything, from the floor plan to the style of the forks. You have maximum control, but it's also maximum effort. Using Dialogflow, on the other hand, is like buying a restaurant franchise. The kitchen, the plumbing, the supply chain, it's all there. It's a proven system. You get to skip the headaches and focus on what really matters, creating an amazing menu.
And that right there is the core idea of Dialogflow. It's a fully managed platform. This means Google takes care of all that messy, complicated plumbing we talked about, the servers, the language models, making sure it can handle 1 million users. It leaves you free to be the creative chef, focusing only on crafting a fantastic user experience. Okay, so let's pop the hood and look inside the Dialogflow engine. We're going to stick with our restaurant analogy here because it's a great way to understand the 3 core components that make this whole thing work. First up, and this is the most important concept, is the intent. An intent is just a fancy word for what the user wants to do. In our restaurant, it's the menu item they're ordering. So you'd create an intent called book a table, and then you train it with all the different ways a person might ask for that, like, I need a reservation for 2, or can I get a table for tonight? But, just knowing they want to book a table isn't enough, right? You need the details, and that's where entities come in. Entities are these specific order details, the little nuggets of information you need to pull out of their request. So for our book a table intent, the entities would be things like the party size, the date, and the time. Dialogflow is built to spot and grab these automatically. All right, and this is the final piece of the puzzle, fulfillment. Once your bot knows the intent and has all the entities, it needs to actually do something. Fulfillment is the bridge to your kitchen, your actual business systems. It's the bit of code that goes and checks your database to see if a table is free and then actually confirms the booking. It's how the bot connects to the real world. Okay, so we've got a handle on how it works. But now for the million-dollar question. Is this the right tool for your project? Let's get real and talk about the strategic choice you're making. So Dialogflow is going to feel like a perfect fit if you're already living in the Google Cloud world. It's absolutely ideal for teams that want to move fast and don't want the headache of managing everything themselves. And honestly, it's a total no-brainer if you're building a voice app for the Google Assistant, or if you need to get your bot onto a bunch of different channels, like yesterday. But let's be clear, it is not a one-size-fits-all solution. If you need absolute granular control over every little piece of the AI model and the infrastructure, you're better off with an open-source tool like Rasa. If your whole world is already built on AWS, then Amazon Lex is just going to be a more natural fit. And if you're trying to do some really cutting-edge stuff with the latest and greatest AI frameworks, something like LangChain is going to give you way more power. This table really just lays it all out, doesn't it? You can see Dialogflow's sweet spot clear as day. It's managed, it's fantastic with voice, and it's native to the Google ecosystem. Rasa, on the flip side, gives you that maximum customization, but it's all on you to manage it. And Amazon Lex? Well, it's basically the AWS version of the same idea. And the best part is that getting your hands dirty is actually surprisingly easy. You just go to the website, create what's called an agent, define a few intents, give it some examples of what people might say, and you can test it immediately in their little simulator. Pushing it out to different channels is usually just a few clicks. Plus, Google's got a pretty generous free tier, so you can play around without spending a dime. So here's the thing, and this is probably the most crucial point to take away from all this. Choosing Dialogflow isn't really just a technical decision. It's a strategic one. See, when you go with Dialogflow, you're not just picking a tool. You are making a bet on Google's entire AI ecosystem, and they are pouring a ton of resources into it. We're talking deeper integrations with their whole AI platform, Vertex AI, and supercharging it with their next-gen models like Gemini. You're not just getting a tool for today, you're really aligning yourself with Google's whole vision for the future of AI. All right, let's wrap this up. If you remember nothing else, remember these three things. 1. Dialogflow is Google's managed franchise for building bots. 2. It's at its best for people who are already in the Google Cloud world and value speed more than having total control. And 3. Its amazing voice features and easy multi-channel support are really its killer advantages.
And that leaves us with one final thought to chew on. This whole franchise versus custom restaurant dilemma, it's not just about chatbots, is it? It's one of the core strategic questions in all of technology. When is it the right move to trade that deep, granular control for the sheer convenience of a managed platform? The answer, as it always is, really depends on what you're trying to build.